Okay, and we should be live. Welcome everyone. I'm just gonna give it a minute until I can see that you are actually here. I should be able to see. And welcome everyone that I did not greet. Welcome to London. It is probably 20 past 9 p.m. British summertime. And we've got about 11 minutes before to start. So we're just waiting for everyone to connect. Hi Pisas, nice to see you here. You can see on here well, perfect. Let me show you a glimpse of the view. So the sun has just set about 15 minutes ago now, so it's the blue hour. It is getting a little bit quieter. It was very busy because I got here 2 hours ago to check my route. And I didn't get much good news. It's gonna be a bit of a challenge tonight, but you'll see why. Because of course, as you might know, this is meant to be a tour of Trafalgar Square. Well, Trafalgar Square is closed. I had a feeling that was gonna happen because, well, on the weekends you often have a lot of action on Trafalgar Square. Hi Mitzi, who did I miss? And welcome Mike. So yeah, yesterday there was a big football event for the football championship final on the square. And yesterday morning when I saw the scale of the event, I was like, uh-oh, they're never gonna remove that before tomorrow night. And it's still there, they're still working on removing everything. And the worst thing is that, so I got here over 2 hours ago now just to check my route. At the time I could still cross the north of the square. So I was like, you know what, it's still okay, we can manage. And now they've just closed it now. So we'll see where we can go, but it's, I'm not gonna be able to take you on the square itself. And welcome Natalie, nice to see you here. Yeah, I could have postponed, but I didn't want to cancel last minute because I know a lot of you might have already put it down your diary and make plans. So we'll go anyway.
Are you live?
I am indeed, yeah.
On what?
YouTube. Some people want to say hello.
Take care, have a great night.
You too. It's my name, Natalie Kerio. Put Natalie my guide, you'll find it, I think.
Where are you from?
I'm French originally.
Oh, French?
Yeah.
It's
It's not the name of the channel, but you'll find the Instagram, and the channel is on the Instagram. Kerio, Kerio. Kerio.
Have a great night.
You too, have fun. Nice to have you here, Linda. So we've got a few minutes to go, 6 minutes to be precise. Hi, Michelle. So we are in the back streets of Covent Garden. You might recognize the street as soon as we go. Hi Denise, welcome. So let's see what time it is. Yeah, 5 minutes to go. I'm gonna make a move because I'm actually gonna start down here. You might see a lot of police cars behind me because we're quite close to the police station. Which clearly doesn't stop people from annoying me. I just had a gentleman shouting at me earlier, and well, gentleman, a bicycle thief, and anyway, was kind of pretending to lock his stolen bicycle. He couldn't lock it because it was clearly stolen. The lock was broken, and I accidentally looked at what he was doing for half a second. I didn't say a word, but then he was insulting me and talking about my big eye globes, and I didn't want to make a move because I was sat there before. But yeah, it's interesting that stuff like that happened just a few meters from the police station. Who did I miss? Hi down, welcome. So we've got a few minutes before to start. Let me show you. You tell me if you recognize the street. Well, actually, you can probably read the name of the street, but we've been around here before. We talked about a murder. Let me know in the chat if you remember which murder. Oh, your dog has had knee surgery. Oh, I hope he's all okay. I hope he's recovering okay. Oh yes, that would be nice to have a gin together. After the tour, of course. Never before. So did anyone recognize the street? Not really? And Tariq is here. Welcome, Tariq. Cool. Tariq, I'm not massively impressed with my properties today because, well, Trafalgar Square is not an area with a lot of properties on the market, and some of them are in buildings we've actually seen before because we've been around here quite a lot. So yeah, we've got a few properties, but I don't think they'll be the most exciting tonight, sadly. Right, let me see. 2 minutes, so we've got 2 minutes to go. Rest for 6 weeks. Oh, well, I hope he manages. Oh, you saw the Amy Winehouse movie. Nice. Yeah. One minute to go. Yes, the signal should be good unless it's too busy on Trafalgar Square, but because it's closed, I don't think it'll be very busy because no one can get to the square. So we should be, although we never know here, but we should be okay with signal. So that's always a positive. And although the square is closed, I found a little gap into the fence, so I can show you the lions anyway, because I did a bit of research about the lions, so I was like gutted that I couldn't show you, but I found a little gap, so we should be able to go and see my lions anyway. Hi TD, thank you. Yes, I'm right behind. I'm right behind Covent Garden. We've been here with when we talked about William Terrace. I think. Yes, it is officially time to go. So welcome everyone. Welcome to the back streets of Covent Garden. For the ones that don't know me, I'm Natalie, and we are live from London. Feel free to use the chat, ask me any questions you might have. So it is 9:30 Sunday night on the 2nd of June. So if it's no longer 2nd of June, you're probably watching the replay in the next few days. And let's go. So I wanted to start here simply because I have a flat for you already. Some of you might recognize, this is the back door of the Adelphi Theatre. So that's where William Terrace was sadly murdered. And if I look over here, I've got a 2-bedroom flat for you right here. So right up here, first floor, that 2-bedroom flat is for rent. Let me show you. Oh, is it the right one? Yes, there we go. So we're looking for a monthly rent. How much would you pay monthly for a 2-bedroom flat up here? From Canada, welcome TD. So how much would you pay for a 2-bedroom flat right up there? Monthly rent. Let's start walking as you guess. So we're looking for a monthly rent. Mike says 3,200. It's a little bit more. Mitzi says 3,500. It's a little bit more. It might not look that nice from here, but you're literally in Covent Garden. Pisa says 4,230. Natalie, you're the closest so far. Natasha says 4K. Tish says 2,800. Ronnie, do you mean 1.3 million? That maybe would be the price to buy it, maybe, but we're looking for a rent. Michelle says 4.5. Dawn says 3,750. Well, let me show you the answer. Where are we? Ta-da! 6,790 for a small 2-bedroom flat that is not super modern. So those are the prices to live in the heart of Westminster. Anyway, let's go. So we are arriving right behind the Charing Cross police station. It's a grade 2 listed building. It used to be a hospital, the Charing Cross Hospital. So that's the building here. I probably shouldn't be filming the building too much because those poor police officers, they have been harassed by some YouTubers because, well, some of you might have seen in the press a few years ago, there were some accusations being made, and so they called it Operation Houghton. Basically, some complaints had been made of harassment, and they said it was a toxic place of work. And the police watchdogs, they are the IOPC, what is it called, Independent Office for Police Conduct. They had to do an internal inquiry here at the Charing Cross Police Station, and the findings were not great. I think 14 police officers were investigated. They unveiled some WhatsApp chats that were very sexualized, very misogynistic. They were mocking some religions as well. They were mocking disability as well. One of the police officers had texted his female colleague, "I'll happily rape you," and yeah, so some stuff were not very nice. It's probably just a few rotten apples and probably hundreds of absolutely lovely and perfect police officers, but it kind of tarnished the reputation of the station. And I've seen a few videos of YouTubers literally going outside of the station to provoke them, hoping they would misbehave. So that's why I don't want to be filming the station too much. Sadly, in 1901, was the site of a very sad murder. So it's not the building that was there at the time, actually. It was so much of a slum around here that the building was destroyed 2 years after the murder. It is quite similar, actually, to one of the cases we mentioned when we were in have the NHS and any social helps. It was, I mean, life was rough if you were unwell, because if you couldn't work because of injuries, well, then you couldn't eat, and then you didn't have any of those social helps at the time, and that could be huge problems with a family. And that's exactly what happened here. There was a young couple that moved here. They used to live in Narrated in South London. The daddy, James, he had some problems with his back. He was in strong pain, and he used to kind of self-medicate with alcohol. But he couldn't pay for normal alcohol at the pub, so he would buy street gin. That was actually very toxic. The mother, she was doing 5 different jobs just to try to keep the family alive. And they had a little boy, 2 years old, called Thomas. And Thomas was very unwell, probably bronchitis or stuff like that. He kept coughing. And they had hardly enough money to buy any medicine for the boy. And when really you couldn't feed your kids, the risk was that the beadle of the parish would knock at the door to come and take your kids away, to take them to the workhouse. But the workhouses, the life expectancy was actually very, very, very low. Well, the life expectancy of infants in the Victorian slums were very low anyway, but at the workhouse it was even worse. And Daddy James had a job at the Covent Garden Market here, but because of his back, he got sacked. And the mummy Lavina, she was struggling. And one morning, Daddy left with the little boy for a walk, and the parish, the beadle of the parish actually came to collect the boy. Luckily, he wasn't here, but he was going to take the little boy to the workhouse. That night, the mummy went for one of her 5 jobs. And Daddy had drunk as usual, and the little boy was crying, and the dad actually beat the little boy to death. When the police arrived, he said, I've done it for his own good. It's hard to imagine, but it is actually possible that the daddy believed that he was going to spare his little boy from a short, horrible life at the workhouse. Who knows? He went to prison. He didn't hang because of he was declared insane. But a very sad case, and it really makes you happy to have the social network, the social security that we have today. If we have an accident or if you are unable to work, you should be able to survive. Anyway, I'm gonna take you into Godwin Court here, which is one of the little alleyways that is said to have maybe inspired J.K. Rowling with Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. Just so you know, I'm gonna stop talking, so I'm gonna be silent on that little street, because some of the local residents, they are getting annoyed. They have so many Harry Potter tour groups that come every day and are very loud with thousands of kids. So I'm just gonna be silent, just as we reach the other side. Yeah, it sounds a bit like a Dickensian novel, really. So you can see those lovely bow windows like from the 18th centuries. Oops. Sorry, it's a bit dark, so my camera is struggling to focus. Sorry, it's a bit too dark. The camera is struggling. But I guess you can see why it looks like diagonally. Let's go. Right as well, Cecil's Court is also said to have inspired the author. But we've been there before. Remember I told you about the first e-fit. The murder with the first e-fit in London was committed in one of those little shops here. So if you don't remember, we've been here on my creepy Charing Cross tour. We talked about the theatre straight ahead, the Duke of York Theatre. That is the one that is hunted by a little bolero jacket. So the jacket itself is hunted. Anyway, let me tell you about something I've not told you before. We're heading towards a statue, Edith Cavell. Edith Cavell, she's a hero of the First World War. She was a nurse. She grew up in Norfolk, just outside of Norwich. Her dad was a vicar, and she actually studied for a few years in Peterborough. So that's where I'm taking you next weekend. Next Saturday we're heading to Peterborough. So if you've not hit the bell yet, make sure you do so. And she, at first she worked as a nanny for a Belgian family, and eventually, as her dad was unwell, she took care of him, and she decided that she probably she felt a bit that she had to go into nursing. So she studied nursing a bit later than usually at that time. The nurses were very young. She was a bit older than most of them, and she became a great nurse. She worked in Maidstone in Kent through a horrible epidemic of typhoid. And she then decided to go and work in Brussels, in Belgium. At the time, the standards of nursing there were not as great as they were in the UK yet. So she was going to train a lot of nurses over there. And she was on a holiday back in Norfolk to visit her recently widowed mother when World War I broke out. Of course, her friends and family begged her to stay. She could have been useful from England as well, but no, she wanted to go. She wanted to go back to Brussels. She wanted to help. She felt like that put you off the bolero jackets for life. Well, it should be, because that jacket might be in the US. So yeah, anyway, she wanted to go, and she did, you know. So she went back to Brussels working as a nurse again, and of course Brussels was invaded by the German, and she started to, she was curing everyone. So, you know, French soldiers, German soldiers, anyone, she would help anyone that needed it. But, you know, the French soldiers, the British soldiers, if they were injured and captured, the German would have then sent them into some kind of factory camp, you know, to help the war effort on their side. So she started to do some fake health certificates to avoid those men going there. And eventually, she helped some of them escape to the Netherlands, and then back to France or back to England. And she did that with quite a few soldiers. So she actually helped a lot of them escape. There she is, Edith Cavell. And eventually, she sadly got caught because there's a French guy, a traitor, that came to ask for her help. she didn't trust him at first. She knew that he had, well, something was a bit odd with him, but you know, he wanted help. So she did help him. His name was Gaston, George Gaston Kien. She helped him escape. Boom. The next morning, the hospital was raided and she was arrested. She was taken to prison, to St. Giles prison in Brussels for 10 weeks. And then she was trialed. She had confessed, so she was interrogated in French first. She did speak French, but she didn't speak German. We don't know why she confessed. Maybe they had already too much information. Maybe they made her believe that they had, but she did admit helping those men escape the country. And then through the trial was in German, so some things might have been mistranslated, purposely or not. Anyway, she was, yes, exactly, a real heroine. She was executed, shot by the German soldiers, and she became an icon, and she became used a lot in propaganda, really, to both in France and in the UK, to convince a lot of young men to go fighting, to boost their hunger. I'll show you some of the images that would have been used to kind of shock the public opinion and to highlight what they had done, because you know, well, you know, through the war they would often execute spies and stuff like that, but really to shoot a nurse, a lady that is there to care for people, you know, to help anyone. She was helping the Germans as well. So yeah, very sad. Actually, even the German Kaiser, Wilhelm II, he realized how bad it looked for them as well. So after that, he decided that no ladies should be executed unless he personally gave his agreement. Right, let me remove those photographs. Hold on. There we go. And this is St. Martin's in the Field. So beautiful, beautiful church. I hope I'm not gonna get a copyright strike for the music, but there's a busker behind me. I don't want to run away too far away from here anyway, because we can't go much further. So we'll see if I get a copyright strike. Tough luck. Is Henry Cavill related to her? No, it's Cavill. It's not an I, it's a he. So no, that they wouldn't be related. Well, not that I know of, at least. St. Martin's in the Field. It is named after St. Martin's of Tours, and it's the location where Nell Gwyn was buried. Nell Gwyn, we talked about her before in many of my tours. She was one of the favorite mistresses of Charles II. Favorite, I mean favorite by the people. People loved her because, well, first, she was English, you know, as opposed to some of the mistresses that were French and Catholic, but also because she was very funny, very witty. She was an actress. She came from the sex trade, and they've not reopened the north of the square, so we'll have to anyway, we'll have to go around. Never mind. So this is the National Gallery here, and so yeah, Nell Gwyn, amazing lady. So she's buried inside. Let me give you another shot of the church from here. St. Martin's in the Field. It is Henry VIII that rebuilt a church here, because when he had his massive palace, the Palace of Whitehall behind me, with the plague, he did not want people that might be contaminated to to have to cross over in front of his palace to go towards Westminster Abbey. So he rebuilt a church here just to make sure people wouldn't come with their diseases. And let me show you again. So that's the National Gallery here. It's beautiful in the evening with the light. And the king on his horse here, let me show you. Sadly, we can't go. So that's the football stuff. So you see it's all blocked because yesterday they had a big football event for the championship. And see the king on his horse over here? This is George the Fourth, very much filtered. You know how today we have those filters on Instagram and stuff? Well, back in the day it was the statues and the paintings that were not very realistic. Is very much slimmer on the statue than he was in real life. George IV suffered from obesity. He was, I think it's 280 pounds, about 120 kilograms by the end of his life, so he was quite big, much bigger than the statue. But you know, the artist was probably commissioned by the king, so that's what you have to do when you are commissioned by the monarch. Anyway, I purposely waited for the light to go red, because we'll wait for the green one again, because remember, around here in Trafalgar Square, the traffic lights, little green men, are a bit funny. Could you please repeat what you said about Nasty Henry? You got a commercial. Okay, I'll tell you again, one sec. So see the two little men holding hands? So that was for Pride in 2016, and we kept it. So yes, some of you might have missed about Henry VIII. So Henry VIII, he had a huge palace here, the Palace of Whitehall, that was going all the way from Trafalgar Square till the Houses of Parliament, really. And when we had a bit of a plague, he did not want people that might be contaminated with the disease to have to cross in front of his palace, Whitehall, to go towards Westminster Abbey and St. Margaret Church there as well. So he rebuilt a church here, so the parishioners from around here, they could go to church here and they wouldn't have to cross in front of his palace with their diseases. So that's why he's rebuilt it. Yes, exactly, Suzanne. There's also a cafe in the crypt. So you can go and have a brownie sat on a grave, really. So it's quite a good place to have a cafe. And this little kind of kiosk in front of me, this is the smallest police station in the world. It's well, today it is a broom cabinet, but they created it in 1926. Sorry, I wish I could go around to show you the other side, but it's basically, well, it was like the CCTV of the day, really. Trafalgar Square is a place of gatherings with, so people would gather for celebrations, for example, or they could also gather for protest. Still today, we had, you know, in the last few years, we had a lot of protest, COVID, you know, COVID spectacle people, Black Lives Matters as well. So it's always been a place for protest. And the police decided it was a good idea to have a little kiosk there. It could be used as a lockup to lock up people that might be misbehaving, and also to have a police officer inside, like a camera today. And there was a telephone, so the police officer inside could call Scotland Yard. Oh, why am I going at the red light? I wanted to show you the little green man. Well, never mind, too late. And yeah, today you don't have any police officers inside. It is used as a broom cabinet for the council cleaners. Oh, let me show you. So lesbian sign. So that's quite cool. If you want to have a laugh, if you We have the trans sign on the other side. Oh, too late. If you want to have a laugh, you can Google all the complaints that have been sent to Westminster Council about those funny traffic lights. Most of them are just purely homophobic, but some of them are absolutely hilarious. Like one of them, it's a guy that wrote to the council and is like, yeah, you know what, yeah, I came to Trafalgar Square with my missus and my son and daughter, and we were gonna cross the road, and my missus and my daughter, they went, but me and my son, we had to wait forever. So yeah, he believed it was only for the ladies to cross. Lesbians forever, yeah. Anyway, I have another accommodation for you across the street there, but listen carefully, because it's a student accommodation, so students only. It's in the building just there across the street. So the bedroom I'm about to show you, it's a bedroom for two. So the price that you want to guess, it's a monthly price for two students. So basically they can divide it between them. So let me show you. Oh, hold on, this is going to be very complicated. Let me focus. Because of the closing, I'll have to, all my properties are now in a random order, so I have to be very careful to show you the right one. So bear with me. Yes, this one. Because I'm basically doing everything the other way around because of the closure of the square. So yeah, that's the one. Yeah, you can see the two beds. So that's to be shared with two students, and I'm looking for the monthly price for the full room. So so that's individually that'll be divided by two. But yeah. So how much would you pay for two students in one bedroom in this lovely building? I don't know on which level it is, but yeah. Yeah, Pride is coming soon here. I think is it the 27th? I think it's the last weekend of June this year, I think. Ooh, Laurie, you know what? I think you're quite spot on. I'm pretty sure, I think it's literally, well, it's actually a weekly price, but when you do the math, I think you actually very much spot on. Ronelyn, you're not too far either. Mitzi, you're not too far either. Carol Sue, you're very close as well. Tariq, well done as well, very, very close. Down very, oh, you guys are getting very good at this game. Let me show you the answer. I need to make sure I show the right one again. This is going to be tricky tonight. Yes, that's the one. So it's a weekly rent, but if you multiply that by 4.4 to have a monthly one, that's 1,848 a month. So some of you were very, very close. Well done. Welcome, Emma. Nice to see you here. Right. Okay, let's go back towards the square. And you know what? Let's cross over to go and see Charles I. So Trafalgar Square, it's the site of the former Charing Cross, and the Charing Cross, it is the central point in London. So if you let's say you went to Nottingham and you saw a sign that says London 222 miles, it would be calculated from right here. Let me cross again. It's not geographically, it's not the correct center. I think geographically the actual center of London would be Lambeth North, so close to Waterloo. But hold on, where did I want to cross here? Oh, I'll cross over there. Yeah. So the king on his horse right here in the middle, that is Charles I. As you might know, Charles I, we chopped his head off. 1649, we had a civil war. They accused the king of treason. He had annoyed Parliament. He had dismissed them a few times. And in the Parliament at the time, there were a lot of Puritans. the Puritans, they believed that they could deal straight with God, that there was no need for bishops or archbishops or head of the church. But the thing is, the head of the church in this country, it is the monarch. So going against that, it's going against the king. So the Puritans were kind of against the king anyway. And no one believed it was actually going to happen, but it did. Let me show you. Straight people, they've got a spot as well. So that's the king. Now you might wonder, why do we still have a statue of Charles? Yeah, you might wonder, why do we still have a statue of Charles if he's been executed? Well, actually, his statue was meant to be melted. There's a man that took it away, and he melted it. He actually hid it in his back garden in Shoreditch, and he pretended to have melted the statue, and he then sold a lot of little statuettes, pretending that it came from the remains of the melted bronze from Charles I statue. He made a fortune by doing that, and 10 years later, let me show you this one. I don't even know what this one is. It's I don't know if it's non-binaries or so yeah, he made a fortune by selling that. And 10 years later, when Charles II came back to reclaim his throne after an exile in France, well, the guy went to see the king, and he said, "Oh, you know what? I've got a statue of your dad. Can I sell it to you?" The king said, "Yes, sure." So then he made another fortune by bringing the statue back. So smart guy, good businessman here. Anyway, let me show you the site. So it is here exactly, the exact center of London. You hate those look left, look right, Mike. Yeah. To be honest, in London, the drivers are very well aware that we have so many tourists here. Oh, by the way, straight ahead there, that is Big Ben. I shouldn't call it Big Ben. Big Ben is not the name of the tower, it's the name of the bell inside. Oh, thank you, TD. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, a lot of drivers, they're very careful with the pedestrians because they know that a lot of people look the wrong way anyway. So they're particularly aware of them. Oh no, man, they've closed my little gap. Oh well, never mind. I had a little gap in the championship thing there to show the lions, but oh well, you'd have to look at the lions from here though. It's not our lucky day tonight. So yeah, those lions, we've got 4. They have been, oh, straight people again, let me show you. There we go. So they've been, oh, I might still be able to pop my phone, let's try. This way I can show you one of the lions. They've been commissioned, it's actually Queen Victoria that commissioned Sir Edwin Landseer to do the lions. Landseer was not actually a sculptor, he was a painter. He was doing those very vivid and amazing animals painting. He was one of the last court painter. He had a room actually at Balmoral. He used to paint the Queen's dog. Oh, there's a security, he's gonna tell me off. Let's try. I just want to show you my lion. The guy is gonna come, you can see. I can't see what I'm showing you, but
Hey, don't do that.
I'm just showing the lion, my friend, don't worry. Uh-oh, I pressed a button by accident, hold on. Sorry, it pressed the end button. Well, I hope you saw my lion. I'm being told off by the security anyway. why would he care if I'm filming the lions? So I hope you saw it. If not, well, that's the amazing lions of Trafalgar Square. So the artist, Sir Edwin Landseer, he was doing some kind of dissections anyway. He was actually studying animals, so he wanted to dissect them to see the muscles and to see all that. And when he was commissioned to do the lions, well, he had not seen a lion before. Oh, you saw the lion, perfect, good. Did you hear the guy telling me off? So yeah, he actually got a lion from the London Zoo, a dead lion. So he could use it as a model in his studio in St. John's Wood. And sadly, after a while, the lion started to rot. You know, it started to smell very bad. So he had to get rid of it. And apparently, he had not finished the feet. So he didn't have any feet as a model. So apparently, the feet are not very realistic because he took model on his cat. So some say that's why the feet are looking very weird, because they are not lion's feet, they are actually little felines. And Sir Edwin Landseer, let me show you. I've got his self-portrait. There he is. I'm pretty sure you would have seen some of his paintings. Well, I'm sure you've seen one at least. Landseer is an interesting case of commercial appropriation of fine art. Some brand, sometimes with or without the consent of the artist, sometimes they would use a painting for branding. Let me show you what I mean. For example, back home in France, we've got this, the milkmaid, la laitière. It's not only in France, it's in Spain as well, la lechera, probably in Italy as well. But would you believe, I think I was at least maybe 15 years old when I realized it was a painting originally, not just branding, because the brand is huge. And yes, I'm by the Canadian High Commission. Yeah, it's not really, thank you, Linda. So it's, well, it's like a consulate, but because it's, you know, because Canada is also under the same monarch, it's actually a High Commission, it's called, but yeah. Nestlé Boo, exactly. And with Sir Edwin Landseer, the painting you might have seen on branding, whiskey, biscuits, shortbreads, it is the monarch of the Glen. Let me show you. So you might have seen the monarch of the Glen on quite a bit of marketing, especially if you've been to Scotland, if you've been to Edinburgh, if you walk down the Royal Mile, I'm sure you see a lot of the branding. So that's been done without his consent. That was years later, but it's been used a lot for commercial purposes. And he also had an interesting private life. He actually gave some painting lessons to a lady called Georgina. She was the Duchess of Bedford. She was excellent whiskey, yeah. Georgina was married to the Duke of Bedford, and he gave her some lessons, and apparently they started an affair. And pretty much everybody knew, even the Duke knew, and they even think that the 10th child of the Duchess was actually his daughter, Lady Rachel, although he could never admit it officially. But yeah. And sadly, he probably was very much in love with her, and he actually believed that once the Duke would have passed, they would be able to finally get together for real. And sadly, when the Duke actually died, the Duchess rejected him. And that's when he started to go into a deep depression, and he eventually lost his sanity. He was declared insane in the I think it's 1872. So quite a sad life, and you can see through his paintings, you can see them getting a bit darker as well. But anyway, there's one more painting of his I want to show you, because so that was commissioned by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, the architect. It's about inspired by the Shakespeare's play. But can you see the beautiful white rabbit? Well, there's a young man called Charles, aka Lewis Carroll, that wrote about the rabbit, and he said, what amazing, well-portrayed, beautiful white rabbit, how talented is the artist, and blah, blah, blah. 7 years later, well, in Alice in the Wonderland, we have an amazing white rabbit. So it is fair to assume that this very painting has actually inspired Alice in the Wonderland. So that's quite cool. Is that what they called painting lessons in those days? Well, that's they were. I think she was doing drawing lessons. Maybe not even maybe not even painting. Oh, what did Mike say? I think I've missed a joke. Oh, I don't know where it is. Anyway, let me turn around. Yeah, I don't know what Mike said. Let me turn around and I'll show you George III on his horse here. George III, sadly, is mainly only remembered from his for his mental health issues, as you might know. He became known as the Mad King because he developed some very strong mental health issues. You might have seen the movie The Madness of King George. When they did the movie, by the way, they wanted to call it The Madness of King George III, because he was George III. But they thought, writing it down, that would be The Madness of King George III. And they thought some people might not get it. Some people might think they've missed The Madness of King George Part 1 and 2. So they had to go with The Madness of King George, that's it. Anyways, he's sadly only remembered for that, but he was the last king of America. And he was an abolitionist, so quite impressive for a gentleman of his days. And he contributed greatly to the British Library. That was at the time the British Museum, but a large collection of books and manuscripts actually come from him. When you, if you go to the British Library, when you enter the hall downstairs, you see an amazing collection behind windows. It's known as the King's Collection. That's George III's library. So that's. Did the monarchs actually ride horses a lot, or is it just for the statues? I think they did, Mike. I think they did. Still today, you know, the king actually rides a lot. He's not gonna ride. You know, Trooping the Colours is coming up in 2 weeks. Apparently, the king is not coming on horseback this year. He'll be in a horse carriage. But so did Queen Elizabeth. You know, she used to ride a lot. So I suppose it was always the case. Anyway, I'm showing you an interesting building here. I'll tell you a bit more about the history of the building. But guess what? I've got a flat. I'm gonna have to focus to show you the right pictures again. You know what? I actually had 2 flats, and for some reason, one was a 2-bedroom and one was a 1-bedroom. They were exactly at the same price, which is really odd. I don't know whether it is a mistake or if it is because one of them has a large, very large balcony and the other one doesn't. But anyway, this one is the 1-bedroom, but again, they were at the same price. So how much would you pay? So this one is to buy. How much would you how much would you pay for this one? So 1 bedroom to buy here. Yeah, the Queen used to arrive at Trooping the Colours on horseback. One day there was even a guy shooting a bullet. Well, the gun was not loaded, but it scared everyone. At the corner, she was arriving on horseback. She actually stayed very composed. She didn't react much when everyone was freaking out. He did get arrested. He actually, from prison, he wrote to the Queen to apologize. She never replied. Usually when you write to the Queen, you always get an answer. She didn't reply to him. 1.8 million, 2.5 million, 2.3 million, says Tish. 3 million, say Natasha. Natasha, I think you are the closest so far. 3 millions, it's a bit more actually. Ronnie, it's a bit more. That's your flat, Herbivore. Invite me for tea. 1.2, guys, it's much more. Dawn, you're the closest so far, but it's even a little bit more. Okay, let me show you the answer. Where are we? There we go. 3,495,000. So yeah, beautiful view, amazing balcony, great location, although it's probably quite noisy around here. But yeah, a bit out of my price range, I'm afraid. Now, let me show you, let me try to give you the same angle actually. There's a very famous photograph that was taken from here. Let me show you, it's approximately this angle. This is the Titanic newsboy. So it's called Ocean House because it used to be the head office of the White Star Line company. The little boy is called Ned, he's 16 years old. And the morning after the tragedy, of course, of the Titanic, hundreds of people came here because they wanted to find out if their loved ones were dead. You had actually had 6 police officers that had to come here to do crowd control, and because sadly people were trying to run inside to see if they. I'm gonna see if I can go here. Yes, hopefully I can. So yeah, they wanted to fight to get in. Little Ted, sadly, so he was a boy from Waterloo selling the newspapers, and he became a young soldier through the First World War, and I'm gonna see if I can try to give you a glimpse of the fourth plinth. Probably not. Probably not. So yeah, little Ted sadly became a soldier. He actually got some medals. He got rewarded for his bravery through the First World War. But he died 2 weeks before the armistice. So 2 weeks before the end of the Second World War. And sadly, his parents in Waterloo, they only got the news after the end of the war. So they didn't expect it. You know, they thought everything was over. They thought he would come home, and sadly he had died. So quite a sad story. Anyway, I was hoping to show you a bit of the fourth plinth, but don't worry, we cannot see it from here, but I'll show you a photo. So the fourth plinth, for those of you that don't know, it's a statue on Trafalgar Square. So the plinth was empty for many, many years. It had been commissioned to host the statue of William IV that they never had the money for. Good, because he's not my favorite king. He was actually, he managed to delay the abolition of slavery. Anyway, so the plinth was empty for a while. This is the statue that is still there nowadays. It's gonna be changing in September. So this piece of art here, it's a gentleman from Malawi. His name is John Shimbleway. I cannot say it properly. Shilemwe. He was a preacher, but not only. A lot of people say that the statue, it's about him fighting to wear a hat. That is true. At the time, sadly, in Malawi, in Africa, black people were not allowed to wear a hat in front of white people. So that's why he's wearing a hat. That's actually inspired from a photograph. But the meaning of the statue is a little bit deeper than that. It's about the First World War being all about, taking Africa's resources, really, because there was in Malawi at the time there was a bit of an uprising, a revolt. People wanted to go against the colonizer, and that's actually quite incredible. But the Brits and the Germans, they allied against the uprising. We are in the middle of World War I. Be allied to put down the uprising in Malawi. Anyway, so interesting statue, but it's going in September. It's the next piece of art is going to be very interesting. Apparently, it's going to be some kind of a cast of 850 faces of people from the trans community. So it's going to be something to look forward to in September. So whenever the statue comes out, I'll go and show you. It's the artist is called Teresa Margolles, or Margolles. She's Mexican. Teresa is, let's say, a very intriguing artist. She was not trained as an artist. She was trained as a forensic pathologist. She worked in a morgue for 10 years, and her art is, I've not seen any of her art live, but she's done some very, very dark stuff about bodies, about death. For example, she did a room that was mopped with blood. I think she didn't even mop it herself. I think it was the families of the victims or something. So they mopped it with blood and they left it there. So the art is basically the smell of death, because when you go into the room weeks later, it stinks of death. So this is she also did a flag, same. The fabric itself was full of blood. So I'm looking forward to what she's gonna come up with in September, because it's probably gonna be interesting. So I don't think images have been published yet, but it's gonna be 850 cast, a bit like a Madame Tussauds of the modern days, really. It's gonna be cast faces of trans people. So yeah, that should be cool. Anyway, one last little murder before we go. Up here in 1968, you had a company that was doing some kind of painting and decorating that was settled here, and that's when they that was payday. There was a young man called Freddie. Freddie was a hard-working young man. His job was to pay people. So every Friday or maybe once a month, I don't know if it was every week at the time, but people would come into the building to collect their wages. He had gone to the bank to withdraw the equivalent of 11K today. So really, if you wanted to commit a robbery, you should have attacked him on his way back from the bank. But one young man, not a very talented criminal really, he came, and Freddie would have opened the door because he did work with the company. He had been sacked actually because he turned up 6 hours late on his first day as a painter. The accountant, or the gentleman paying the wages, Freddie, he would have known his face, so he probably let him in. And a few hours later, poor Freddie was found brutally attacked in the room. He had been killed with a hammer, and the culprit didn't actually take anything. He was such a stupid criminal. He did empty the pockets of the gentleman. He probably was looking for the keys for the safe, but the safe was actually open. So he left hundreds of pounds in today's money into the safe, and he literally killed a young man for nothing. He got caught because a few days earlier he had been oh, thank you so much, Daisy. He had been bragging about his idea of a robbery in a pub in Pimlico. He had been approaching a young man, actually, asking him if he wanted to rob a decorating company. So that's how he got caught. A few years earlier, I think he would have been available for the death penalty, but that was no longer the case at the time. So he went to prison. Anyway, let's finish down here in Leicester Square. I've missed something. Are you back from? Did you say you're back from Hague? Well, good to have you back. Leicester Square also have a little bit of dark history. On the site of the Odeon today, so it is here in Leicester Square that they do a lot of the movie premieres. And on the site of the Odeon, back in the day, we had an illegal school of anatomy. So they were doing some illegal dissections and stuff. That's why St. Martin's in the Field, the church we've seen earlier, was very often targeted by body snatchers to steal those bodies to then sell them in the illegal school of anatomy here. John Hunter was involved, the famous or infamous surgeon. Anyway, let me show you the Odeon. There we go. So that's where you have a lot of movie premieres whenever the films come out. Anyway, it's going to be the end of the tour, so do let me know in the chat if you have any questions before we go. Leicester Square is also full of amazing statues. You can't really go at night, but you have Paddington, you have Mr. Bean, you have Mary Poppins, Indiana Jones, Wonder Woman, Bugs Bunny, the guy from Singing in the Rain, Charlie Chaplin, and up here, above the theater tickets, you might be able to spot Laurel and Hardy. They are up there in the tree. Cool. Let me show you my face again. And let me know in the chat if you have any questions before we go. Thanks for coming, Pisas. So if you want to see a bit more of me, next Saturday we're going to Peterborough. So that's going to be interesting. I've not been before. Well, I've been on the train passing by, but I've never explored. It has been voted 3 years in a row the worst place to live in England. So that should be interesting. But they have a beautiful cathedral, and a couple of queens were buried there. Well, one was moved, but one is still there. Yeah, it's nice to go to new places. Oh, thank you, Natasha. Yeah, it's okay. We've been able to go around. It's just a shame that we couldn't go down to the middle of the square, but I think it's always, I always prefer, I don't like to cancel anything last minute, because sometimes I know you guys have made plans already to join a tour, so I prefer to go with it anyway. It's the little joy of the lives, you know, you never know what to expect. So yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Lethargy, Natasha. And thank you, Sarah Painter, as well. Nice to have you all along. If any of you drop me a little tip on PayPal or on Buy Me a Coffee, that's very, very much appreciated. Of course, it is thanks to your generosity that I can spend more time researching new tours and going places as well. So that's very, very helpful. Thank you, TD. Yeah, Pisas, I'll see you in the next one then, after that. Cool. Thank you guys. I don't see any more questions, so I'm gonna get going. Have a good evening or a good morning, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world. And hopefully I'll see most of you next week on here. Oh, thank you, Tish. Yes, absolutely. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like, or if you put a little comment, it always helps with the algorithms. Bye bye.